and drink.
You don't need to see what's coming at you or what you did. I think those are the two important things. Like,
exactly. And then when you go into meditation, like years later, then you dig and you bring all that shit up from your toes, bring it to the surface, and you be like, oh shit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let it like namaste out my bad ear. I meditated. When it gets to about right here, it's gonna detour to the right. And because that side doesn't work, it didn't happen.
Correct.
Me and Ayana we went to Vegas a few years ago. I was trying to run a race. That's when I was in my running days, and we went out there and was a bona fide fucking mess out there too. Like, we spent all the damn money, ate all the food, and they had the nerve to try to go run a race. It was a mess.
Ask me about 28-year-old Linda.
Listen, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Linda had a good time. Linda likes a lot of mimosas.
Okay. Okay.
And mimosas, low key, have you effed up?
Oh my
God! It's the sugar from the orange juice. I
think so.
Well,
and the champagne.
It can be, but before the age that we are in now, it was because we were drinking Andre in our mimosas.
Oh, the cheap.
Don't be putting our past out in the streets.
That's what it was.
The Alizé.
Yes, the Alizé. We had Alizé.
Oh, not the blue Alizé. Oh,
and we had Andre.
And the Hypnotic.
We used to drink Andre. My aunt that's our age used to drink Andre so much. We used to call that her boyfriend. Like, where your boyfriend Andre at?
Where Dre? With Lil Dre.
And that's why your ass was sick.
But look, low key, that's what my mother still drinks.
Hey, listen. Real quick,
high key. The key is not low.
High key. But listen, on a serious tip, ladies. So I texted you all that I left work at lunch to go to the dispensary. We need a dispense. Like, why are we not some? Like, I have stock in Canopy Growth, but
I have stock in it.
This dispensary is real interesting.
And Aurora too.
They only take cash, which sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
But when I tell you, people were coming in there with bands and stacks.
Listen.
I was like, what is happening in this dispensary? There's security. They got AK-47s. I was like, we in the wrong.
Well, damn.
Well, you think it's Baltimore. It is Baltimore.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I was like, oh my.
It's the legit wire.
Don't do that to the city. Don't do it. Don't do it, y'all. No wire.
It is the legit wire. I mean, why are you going there buying stacks of money?
It sounds like you judging though, and don't be judging because if you
I'm not. I came out with the bag. I came out with my bag.
You were one of those people. That's what you're saying.
I got friends that literally be helping me out with the drop box, with the Ziploc bag. You gotta do what you gotta do. You know,
you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm just saying, where's our cuts? Where are the Black women getting a cut of this? Because
you had to go to the ATM machine, right?
I had to go to the ATM machine. Charge me $2. I was like, it's not free. And he was like, no, baby. And I was like, fine. What was I gonna do?
Baby.
No. But yeah, $2 ATM machine. They were like, we don't take credit, debit, none of the above.
And you know what? If I was that business and I only took cash, I would have some sort of partnership with whoever supplied that ATM machine, because
absolutely
that cut that $2, I want to cut from that because they wouldn't be used.
But most of those little ATM machines that be in like the liquor store and the little convenience store, they do have a partnership with the person that's owning it. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves real quick, y'all. So, hey, to everybody who's listening, this is the grown ass fucking women. Are we fucking? Wait, we just grown ass women.
We fucking know.
I be doing that too sometimes.
Fucking it up. Anyway, these are the grown ass women, and everybody's gonna introduce themselves. Y'all might know we have taken a hiatus. We was out here getting our lives together, buying houses, raising these kids, getting in and out of relationships because it be some shit sometimes. You hear what I'm saying? I was on the verge with the homies know I was on the verge for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
You survived. But
anyway, we wanted to like come back and be with y'all, right? We wanted to be with ourselves, but we wanted to be with y'all too. So we are reintroducing, relaunching Grown As Women. And so it's me, Dr. Plummer, LaNail, the homie, with my best friends. And so each of my best friends can introduce themselves too, but we are the Grown Ass Women. And every time we get on here, we're going to be talking about some real grown shit, right? Like things that are true, like friendships, toxicity. Did I say that right? Relationships, jobs, careers, raising these kids, looking at spouses that you don't want to look at no more. You know what I'm saying? Like all sorts of things. I love you, babe. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that out loud, but anyways, let's introduce ourselves. So let's start with Ayana.
Yes. My name is Ayana Malone, and I am a grown-ass woman based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Only temporarily while I'm trying to get this doctorate, that piece of paper together, but really from the DMV. I have a 1-year-old son named Nyan. He might pop up in the video. Guaranteed he will pop up at some point during the conversation. My work, I work in education, have for the past 20 years. And I moved from teaching, special education teaching, and now I focus on talent and equity in our staffs at the 2 schools that I oversee as part of Baltimore City Schools. So, hi guys.
Well, you're not gonna mention Onyx though? That's shady, V.
That was shady. Oh, okay. It wasn't implied. I am the director of education and training at Onyx Therapy Group, which I started with Dr. P in 2013. Yeah. It used to be called EMC Squared, educational consulting, and has grown into a multi-office, multi-staffed company that focuses on mental health and education that Dr. P is the CEO of and is building a business around. And that's where the grown-ass ladies come in.
Absolutely. Hey, honey. Deana.
Hello. I am Deana Kennedy. I also am a doc student like Dr. Malone, we're going to call it already.
Okay.
I am based out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Originally from Baltimore, at least my family is. I'm an Army brat, also a veteran Army officer.
We here, baby.
Absolutely. I work in HR for the federal government. Let's see. And I'm also a life coach out here trying to get y'all lives right. So,
come on, coach.
I am a grown-ass woman.
I love it. What's up, Nick?
Hey, I am Nikki Wood. You know, I gotta wear that. Get into that one. That is W-O-O-D Wood. Been a grown-ass woman in a couple lives, but I'm finally getting back to life. I am born and raised DMV native. I am not a doctor or studying to be a doctor of anything. If I did, it would be in finance. I work for the federal government. Coach D over there, we actually work at the same agency, although on totally different sides. I'm just excited to be here. I have a daughter with husband number 1. And she is 12 and she will not pop up in videos, or it wouldn't be good for her. And I'm getting rid of husband number 2, and this is my 3rd or 4th grown-ass woman journey. I love the diversity of each of us on here, and hopefully we can, just have some good talks, open talks, and just add to it.
That's for sure. Okay, bring us in, Jay.
All right, my name is Jonai Morse, but I am newly married, so my name is Jonai Carr, or Jay. Everybody calls me Jay. That's easier. Jonai is like real. My mama made that up.
Grown ass woman.
Real grown ass woman like. So I am 21 years in the military. I do logistics work. I'm in the reserves. I also do logistics work in the civilian life. I'm on a contract for the federal government. Been doing that for 7 years or so. And I'm a grown ass woman. Like, I'm out here, we're out here, I'm with my girls, and we about to talk shit. Like,
looking real slender, by the way. Looking real slim on that video.
Oh, let me tell you. This is just on camera. Like, it's the angles, Nikki. You taught me that shit. Look. The angles, because
with the angles, real slender.
The way the coronavirus then hit in the head.
Coronavirus.
Yeah.
Good job.
And Jay, where you at right now?
Huh?
And where you at right now?
I'm in my new house. We just settled. Like 2 days ago. So I'm in my new house. There's zero furniture in here.
Okay.
We have zero food. We do have liquor and toilet paper, literally.
Some grown ass woman stuff right there.
That's it.
Look, piss and pour. Sorry.
Check me next week though.
Let me cut through so I can get a shot and use the bathroom real quick. Wow, this makes me so happy. So let's go ahead. Like, we were talking earlier about, Vegas and traveling and multiple identities and having your street identity, right? You Linda, right, Nick? You Linda?
Oh, yeah. Come on, Linda. Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda.
Renee. What was my name? I had something. I don't know.
I'm Nina.
You Nina?
That's my middle name.
I'm always Stephanie.
Okay, Steph.
No, I'm always Tanya.
Tanya.
Didn't you go with Renee?
I thought I was Renee. I wasn't Renee.
I was gonna say, I always feel like your name was Renee.
I think my name is Renee or Tina. I used to like Tina. Don't ask me why. Let's get into one of these questions I was thinking about this week. And it was like, what do we decide? Like, what kind of goes on? No, let's start with, when do you know that it's time to end a friendship? When do you know to fight for it? Like, when do you know if it's like, man, this isn't working anymore? Like, you know how they talk about like a reason, season, lifetime, or when you're like, we've outgrown each other, or sometimes it's I've outgrown or you've outgrown, but I'm fighting for this friendship. Like, I'm not giving up on us. I'm not giving up on our friendship. Like, what kind of stories, what kind of examples, and how do you know when it's time to fight for it or when it's time to just, dead that joint?
Yeah.
So I think I can kind of speak on that. So, I'm newly married. I'm 39, almost 40, and I'm never, I'm just getting married, right? So people are used to having me in the capacity that they're used to, having me in. So I have had issues with some friends, trying to get used to me being married and me having a new life and me having to be different. So along with me trying to get used to it, my friends are also trying to get used to it and trying to learn that, I can't be everywhere all the time. And even though they're married too, even their spouses are used to me just being around and being available and, those kinds of things. So I had an issue with a friend, and we both kind of got to the point where it's like, well, we might just not be meant for each other. But I think we both had to reel each other in and talk it through and just realize that we're growing, and sometimes growing differently and at different rates. And kind of work through that. So I think the easy route was to just let it go. But the more mature route was to talk through it and try to kind of start over. And I'm not sure that there were things that were happening over the years, and this conversation has come up many times, and it's like, we need to let it go because, it's like, you're not my other girl, you're not my girlfriend, you're my friend, kind of thing. So kind of just interesting. And I don't know if it was necessary to let it go, but maybe just to recognize that it was different.
Yeah.
That you are different and that it's okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have had any like ratchet friendships in the past 10 years or so. So I think sometimes it just calls for reevaluation, and maybe you have to realize that those friends are meant to be in your lives for different reasons and not in the capacity that maybe they expect to be or that you thought they were. So
it also sounds like though that whoever you're talking about, that person wanted to still be friends too though. Like both of y'all wanted to still like work on the friendship. And so maybe even though the conversation was hard or difficult, it made it easier that both of y'all were invested in the conversation.
I think so, but I think you know, there were times where one person would be like, well, I'm done. Like, I need to take a break or whatever. And it's like, ain't no taking a break. You're not my boo. You're not taking a break.
Friendship though.
Either we about, you know what I'm saying? Either we about to work through this or we ain't. You know what I'm saying? Is you is or is you ain't.
Is you ain't, right.
Baby, exactly.
Okay.
Well, a couple of, like, some things ring true for me. Jay, especially what you were saying, like, I think if you're unwilling, if both parties are unwilling to talk about it anymore, I think that's when it's done. Or we can't talk about it anymore. Like you were really talking about, emotional maturity, you know, and it's sort of like we can take a break and boo, but it's like, sometimes we do give our friends that boo level of break, you know, and if both people are willing to work on it, which it sounds like that wasn't your situation, that's when you know it's worth fighting for.
Right? I have a question.
You know, it's
but
worth.
You know, times though when you're just like, what? Like I don't even. Sometimes you get in that mode, and I speak for myself. There's times I get in that mode. It's like I'm just too exhausted in general. I got so many other problems, and you can't be one of them right now. You're supposed to be,
right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't be one of my problems right now. And so then you get petty, right? And you're like, cool.
I don't get petty.
Stay left. Do you?
But
you know?
What if it's a little different? What if it's a situation where, because Ayana, you talked about, you know, the communication both want to and sometimes needing space, but what if it's where you have the communication, it's calm, it's not petty, but whatever behavior led to that conversation is repetitive. And so for me, that's where it's okay, because this is something I've experienced, you know, or been going through. And it's where, okay, I have the conversation in each of the circumstances, but then it's repetitive. It's occurring, it's still causing problems. There's no change, there's no, and then it becomes, okay, this isn't gonna work, right? So, you know, that could be something as well. Like, all right, I think as friends, you allow space for there to be, you know, everything's not going to be perfect. So you have to talk about it, right? You have that conversation. There's either going to be accountability or they're not. And let's say there is accountability. You have that, but then it happens again. Accountability again. Then it happens again. Then there's accountability again. And then at some point you get to, you know what? I'm not having this conversation again. I'm just done with it, right? It doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean that we have to have beef, or, you know, I'm not going to speak to you, or I won't even show up at the kids' functions or whatever. But it comes down to, I don't want to keep having the same conversation that we've already had on the same exact issue. This is just who you are, and it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work anymore. So sometimes even with accountability and conversation, it could still end up in, this isn't going to work if it keeps happening, because there's no growth. Like, I think there has to be growth on both parts, even when you want to stay in the friendship. Something to say, okay, I'm going to make an active effort to change a behavior.
You know, Nikki, that makes me think about what happens in our relationships too, though, right? Like, we be in a relationship with somebody and they doing the same thing over and over and over again. And we keep saying, like, Slim, you got to stop doing that. That's too much. You crossing my boundaries, you know, etc. And sometimes we stay with that person, or we, you know, stay married or continue to date. And then sometimes we break up. I wonder if we give more grace to our friends, or if we give more grace to the people we're in relationships with? Because many people have repetitive behaviors and repetitive statements, but who do we give more grace to and why?
Yeah, it could, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It could be partially dependent upon what the weight of the impact is, right? So think about it, like someone that you're in a more intimate relationship where you're connecting with physically could have it's a different type of layer added on to your relationship, right? Than just a friend. Because of that intimate part, because of that connection. So when they have a behavior that's, if it's hurtful versus annoying, right? Like be annoying, you need to stop. But if it's hurtful and it's causing problems in my other relationships and other parts of my life where I can't be productive, no, you know what I mean? You don't get to have a greater pass, right, than my friend. But if my friend is now causing conflicts in other parts of my life, you know, making it difficult to focus on certain things, and, or, you know, health-wise, right? Too much stress. To Jay's point, you stressing me out right now when I don't need to have stress. Then you're like, if this is recurring and you keep stressing me out when I don't need to have stress, there's no room. Then, you know, yeah, I think it can go either way. I think it depends on what the result or impact is from them not changing.
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jay.
I was gonna say, I definitely think in all your relationships, it's about balance, because I think friends are super important. I think you need friends, and I think you figure out what that balance means for you initially, and then you have to be able to communicate that to your friends, right? And I think it's on where you are in your relationship, you know, in your romantic relationships, if you're in one, or if you're not in one. I think that's super important, and where they are, right? I think as friends, sometimes we have this sense of entitlement, you know, that maybe stems from way back before you may have been in a relationship. And so, yeah, maybe you were my girlfriend or my boyfriend or whatever before I had one. But I think entitlement tends to just keep going. It sticks with you as the years go on. And if you don't communicate it, that, you know, communicate that things change, you know, you would think that sometimes common sense kicks in, but of course, common sense is not the same for everybody. Emotions are different. We're all going through something different. And so I think that open line of communication, whether it's in your romantic relationship or your general, you know, best friends or whatever it is.
Sometimes we breast friends too, though.
Right? I look, don't make me lower my camera and get them to some bounce. I was like, ooh, lower camera. This is a bounce moment.
But yeah, I think it's about communication. And sometimes we also, so there's, you know, we have these expectations, we have these entitlements, it's all these things. And if you're not communicating, then they kind of all get jumbled and everybody's mad. And nobody knows why you're mad.
Yeah. Hey, that makes me think about something I was thinking about last night. What places are you able to bring your entire self? For me, it's in my friendships, right? Because everywhere else I play a type of role. I'm a mother, well, not a mother, I'm a dog mother, but you know, I'm a godmother. You know, I'm a sister, you know, I'm a daughter. So I have to fit myself into that mold. But when I'm with my friends, I could just, you know, wherever I am, I can just be. Do you feel like that's the same? Because it sounds like you have a particular role in some of these friendships.
And that, oh man, you hit it. Oh, you hit a big, that for me is why, obviously having been married twice, why marriage is now looks different to me, because the role of the wife is something that I would conform to so much that I was no longer showing up as my full self. Because that role became so important that it's like I had to be present for that role in what I thought my spouse and I defined as that role, right? I have to pray for my full self. But then the other part is, you know, I have my core group of girlfriends where, or friends where that's where I can be my full self, is where I know that emotionally, I don't have to worry about if I say something that might upset you, we're no longer going to be friends.
Right.
we will talk about it and we'll work through it. But if I can't trust that you know me well enough to know my intent, then I won't show up. My full self will not. And I've been called out by people that have known me my whole life. They said, you know what? People think they know you because you're such an extrovert and it's so easy to have conversation, and they think they know you. But then if something happens that upsets them, they don't really know you because of their reaction. They're like, well, they go left when it's like, well, if you really knew her, you would know. So it's like, okay, only my core is really getting my full self. If that I have to have an emotional trust to be my full self.
That's big.
And it leads me to a discussion that I always tend to have. It is there's levels to friendships, right?
There's levels to this shit.
Yes. Levels.
So you know what you're saying, Nikki, makes total sense, because in some I'm only bringing this part of me, right? And people I genuinely like, you know, people I genuinely enjoy spending time with, but they're getting this much. They're seeing me in this realm, and that's my choice, that's my boundary. And then there are other friendships where you do want to give your all. So I think, you know, tying it back to the question of when do you fight for it, it depends on those levels of friendship as well. And like I said, it's nothing against the other person.
Right.
You just might not be at that level for me, where I'm going to fight for you. But if someone is at that level for me, I will. And that's the same as it goes in relationships. I was talking to y'all about how I saw Random Bay in the Family Dollar, and it was real straight. Like, I wouldn't fight for him the same way I would fight for someone else. And it's not personal, you know? So I think in both relationships and in friendships, you do bring yourself at different levels, because there are different levels to relationships.
I've known someone 7 years where I'm like, nope, versus someone almost 3 years, and I'm like, nope, I'm a fight for.
I think you're talking about me.
No, you're not 7 years. You're the
3-year one.
Those 3 years.
Okay.
Like, no, I'll fight for that one, because that's a safer place.
Yeah.
That's right. A safer place. And I know how rare it is to be able to show, like, for me to really show up fully.
Yeah.
And to your point, Ayana, like that assigns a higher value to be able to do that. And versus someone that might have been 7 years I've known where I never showed up fully, and I'm not going to fight for that because of what I mentioned earlier, the inconsistent, you know, issues or inconsistent. We have a conversation, but it keeps happening. And so I think being a grown ass woman, that's where, you know, it's more important for me to just be able to be me than for me to have to adjust and make everyone else happy, right? It's more important for that. Like, I'll fight for that any day, all day. The other ones, bye. Like, you know, so.
You know what's crazy for me is, and you guys know, I'm listening to y'all and I'm like, damn, I need to be more like that, right? Because I'm probably way too open, way too much. And I know I'm way too forgiving too, right? Like, somebody does something and I'm like, well, I gotta consider this and I gotta consider that. And this is happening in their life and this is happening in my life. And did I communicate clearly? And I'm like, it ends up being very forgiving, right? Way too much forgiving. I think in most recent years, I haven't really cut off a lot of friends. I cut off one particular friend and it wasn't no buildup. The shit was just egregious. I mean, Slim left me and my kids at the fucking park, right? At the amusement park. And drove her ass home, and me and my kids were still in the park. You know what I'm saying? In the parking lot. We was out.
Wait, are you speaking metaphorically or like she really left?
Oh, no, that happened.
She really left me in the amusement park parking lot by Hershey Park. It was not safe for me and my children. I had an ex at the time, but she was a little crazy too. That's not the point. So the point is that was such an egregious action that I could not bounce back, right? It wasn't like no build up. There was no need for a conversation. We did communicate because I am me, and I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling, but there was no way for me in my mind to ever consider how I would feel safe with you again. Like, ever. There's no amount of years and apologies that could redo the fear that I had in that parking lot in that moment, and the level, the depth of disappointment that I felt when I watched her drive away and me and my kids were there. So that was one of those situations where there was that friendship had to end. There's another situation recently with one of my friends where she just keeps shutting down, and I gotta like pull teeth to get information from her. Like, what is going on with you? What is happening with you? How are you feeling?
Draining.
Huh?
That can be draining.
It's so draining because like Jay said a second ago, we're like living all of our lives, right? Like I'm out here doing all of these things and you're supposed to be my friend and I don't even know what's going on with you. Like I gotta pull teeth to find out. And her response was, I didn't want you to be disappointed in me. And I just couldn't fathom it. I was like, I'm disappointed because you didn't tell me, not disappointed because of whatever is going on in your life. Life happens. Like nobody's life is perfect. You know, we get joy, but we get sadness and we get frustration and all of that. But if we're supposed to be friends, I don't feel like I should have to pull teeth to show you that I'm here for you and then to be able to support you. And I was like, quantifiably, you know, both quantifiably and qualifiably, you have to let me know what I did to make you feel like I would be disappointed in you. Because otherwise that's a cognitive distortion. And y'all know I get to talking like that in the conversation. But that's another situation where I'm like, do I still want to continue this friendship? Because what you're telling me is that I'm going to have to be working way harder than you're going to have to be working. And yes, there's roles that we have in friendships. And so then it's not even about you and me per se. It is, do I want to be in the role that you're asking me to be in? And I don't know that I do, right? Okay, I see the bottom bit.
That I was gonna say that's what happened.
Bottle come across the screen.
When I had to work that hard,
I was like, and it is a clear now. I was like, and it's blurred. She got the blurred bottle. I think what's interesting about what you say though, LaNail, is that it also might depend on the season of our lives.
Yes.
Because there's definitely been seasons of my life where I've been far less forgiving, far less tolerant, far less wanting to put in the work. And then there's been seasons when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hold space, or all right, let me try it again. You know what I mean? And it's you told us earlier Mercury was in retrograde.
Mercury trying to take me out.
Yeah, it could be your hormones, it could be your menstrual cycle, it could be so many different things that make you perceive the situation that don't have a strong basis of logic. It's more emotional and more feeling and more just what's the vibe of the situation.
That's so important. And I think for me, that is intentionally why it takes a long time for me to make a decision about a relationship. And so some people will think it's sudden, but I have been slowly watching behaviors because I know that it can be high and low, right? I have these high moments, low moments, angry moments. So I look at, and that's why I mentioned earlier, has this been consistent? Has this behavior gone over time? And I've meditated, prayed on for clarity, and this is still here. I can honestly say in the past, I'll say 6 to 9 months, I have repaired 2 and lost 2. You see what I'm saying? So, and for me, if you've known me for a really long time, that is very uncommon. Because it's a lot for me to say, I'm out, right?
Get to a point. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think you get to a point in your life where you need to clean house of things that don't really serve you anymore. That could be some of it, because I know sometimes we maintain these friendships because they're long-standing, you know, or they're distancing and the relationship is changing, but we continue to try to pull it close. But at some point, you have to just say, look, this situation has changed. And either I don't want to be in this role anymore, like you said, LaNail, which was an amazing point, or, you know, this is not serving me. This is hurting who I am and who I'm trying to be. And you just have to let it go. I'm a little different Y'all quick to let people go.
We know you, Aries. We know you, Aries.
Quick to let people go. I'm quick to make a decision. And typically, you know, in my heart, I'm right. But sometimes you just have to take stuff for face value.
So follow up. But I have a question.
Right, you heard it in her heart, she right.
Got in your heart, you right. But okay, so D, but to your point, and this is a question for whomever, D, whomever. How do you, so like I mentioned two that I no longer have, and one was a direct rip the Band-Aid conversation, right? But the other one is like, you know, I don't feel like having a conversation, say, hey, I'm not your friend anymore. You know what I mean? So because, but I feel like in some relationships, you should have that. And then maybe if you call them a friend to some extent, you should. But I get to the point where I'm so turned off that I no longer want to or feel that I'm going to give you any explanation because I don't have to.
Then right? Does that mean that your friendship stopped before you announced it? Like the moment you got turned off, was that the end of the friendship? The moment you decided you weren't going to have a conversation?
Right. But see, that's the thing. And I'm not saying it's right, but a part of me is like, you know, if this person has brought so much conflict, and it's been consistent, and I had prior conversations about behaviors that have caused problems, I don't feel like having another conversation. So I'm just going to do me, right? And I'm not saying that's right, but then it becomes, I have so no trust. I'm not even going to say little to no. I have so no trust in this person at like zero at all that I don't even want to have a conversation because I don't even want the conversation I have to then go into a bigger issue with the rest of the world.
Yeah. So let's talk about why it's not right. Why isn't it right? Why can't we just let things be what they are?
Yep.
Why are we holding ourselves under all of this pressure because something's not working out and we don't want to walk away or turn away from it?
I can do that. I just don't want to have to say, hey, guess what? I'm walking away from you.
Don't say it. Just walk away. If she catches up, it works out. If she doesn't, it doesn't work out.
But what about when you have that person that's just a consistent
present?
Oh, hey, where you been? What's going on? What's up? Why haven't I heard from? And I'm like, leave me alone. Like,
see, you know, I'm a person that always has conversations though. And I know that this shit be difficult as hell. And I know it's difficult for me when I'm about to initiate the conversation, and maybe even difficult for my friend or whomever when I'm about to, you know, as they engage in a conversation with me. But that is how closure looks to me, right? And I recognize that it is to me. And that way, nobody is walking away wondering what happened, right? Like nobody is wondering like, well, how did we not be friends anymore? Or when I see them at, you know, whatever event in, you know, in 3 weeks, in 3 months or whatever, and it's weird energy, everybody understands the energy. It's not like, what's going on in this kind of situation? But that's because that's what I would want people to do with me. And subsequently, that's what I do with others. But I'm also a communicator naturally, right? Like that's just always who I've been. So I'm okay with it. But I'd rather have a conversation to end a friendship because I just think that's a clearer cut.
I agree. I keep forgetting what I wanted to say, but I'm gonna try to really. I think personally, I'm always, I want to call myself a giver. I want to call myself like always holding on because I feel like it's the right thing to do, or I feel like I need these people or I need these things or whatever. But that's also what I'm, you know, as I'm getting older, and it's taken me a while, but I've also learned that I'm also not in tune with myself. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm more so living for other people and what they want and what they need versus what I want and what I need, and not really ever knowing what it is that I needed because I never paid attention to me. Mm-hmm. So I think you know, in this new season that I'm in a new relationship. I'm getting older. Just things are slowing down and uncertain and picking others. I'm having to think about that more. I'm having to think about myself and take care of myself And I think sometimes take care of yourself, it also takes care of your relationships and your friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And so these expectations, again, some of the what was the word that I used? These entitlements and stuff that people have, they change because you are also. And so I also think communication is super important. And if these people are your actual friends, then you should be able to talk to them and tell them what you're going through and tell them what season you're in, and that kind of thing. I also think that for a long time, I am not super, now I'll say whatever to y'all. I'll tell y'all, I let my dog and it felt good or whatever, I will tell y'all that. But then there are people that I call my friends that I wouldn't tell them that because I feel judged. But some of the judgment that I feel that I put on other people is the judgment against myself. I'm not okay with me. And so I make it seem like you are not okay with me because when I decide to tell you something, then well, some people do judge you. Some people do judge you. Don't get that twisted. That is a real thing.
Yeah.
But there are times where I realize that I am blaming someone else for judging me when I am really judging me. I am ashamed of something unknowingly, I am ashamed of something that I did or have not done.
I think that's what the thing was when Slim told me that she thought I was going to be disappointed in her. Yeah. I think it was projection. I think she was disappointed in herself and was ashamed to tell me anything because saying it out loud was going to make her situation real for herself. But it hurt me that she was willing to put that on me as opposed to owning it for herself. And that was another thing, like when we talk about roles, do I want to be in the role where you're willing to shit on me instead of acknowledging it for yourself? And projecting isn't like a real shit on, right? Like people do more egregious things than that. But can it be safe? Like to Dee's question, can I be safe in this friendship because you are not being authentic and true to yourself? And subsequently, that means does that mean I can't be true and authentic to myself? And but I want to be in that situation.
I think we don't know how. It's so helpful that you are a counselor, my dear friend.
It is.
Because you know how to talk to people, and I think that I tend to have good, bedside manner when it comes to talking to my friends and telling them how I feel. I think that I do, but everybody does not. Some people are just like, this is what it is. This is how I feel. And everybody cannot accept that. Everybody is not that, does not have that, that in them. Like sometimes I can't even hear what you're saying if you come at me wrong. You may be telling me the greatest thing, something that I absolutely need to hear. But if you approach me in a way that is not conducive to my spirit, I do not know how to receive it. And I won't receive it because what you said to me and how you said it to me.
Yeah.
That is a part of getting to know your partner, your whoever that is, in a romantic relationship, in a friendship, in anything, a work relationship. When you get to know people, then I'm not saying that you gotta dim yourself down or whatever, but I think learn these people that are important to you or important to your mission or whatever it is, that you have to learn how to talk to people. You have to learn how to people. It's not just about you. It's not just about you and who you think you are. Think that I'm doing this. I think or whatever it is, to learn who you are, who you want. If this is a person that you are calling a friend or a partner or a coworker or teammate or whatever it is, you got to learn these people, and it should be mutual. And so I'm going to try to talk to you how you need to be talked to, also without dimming the integrity of myself. But it's you got to learn. It's not just about you. And I think sometimes we tend to be on both ends of friendships, right? We can both be selfish. I'm selfish because I'm asking you to be the friend that you can, be. But then you're also selfish because you're not recognizing that I'm struggling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but that's a great point. And this all kind of ties into the whole when can you be your full self, feeling safe. So when I lose that trust fully, I'm no longer safe. And that's why I don't want to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Feel like that's a safe place from it now. I mean, but that is, to Jay's point, more of my ish, right? And what I'm comfortable doing and not doing. And then two, it's like, well, if I would be like the dude that ghosts you, because I'm like, oh, yep, I'm out, and then you never hear from me again.
You ain't gonna ghost me, Slim, because I'm gonna show up.
Listen, you my 3 years, not my 7. Look, you're my 3, not my 7.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna always be the 3 too, because go ahead and try to ghost me. Oh, I'm gonna show up.
Listen, Linda.
With my Vaseline and my skull cap, and we gonna box it out till we get it going.
We gonna roll up. Listen, but
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No,
I have a question for y'all, because when listening to you speak, Jonai, I started thinking about emotional maturity. And, a lot of what you're talking about is emotional maturity. Yep. Like you said, many people do not have. And it made me start thinking about the idea of being equally yoked. Like in marriage, we talk about being equally yoked. What about this concept of being equally yoked in friendship?
Wow.
Maturity.
Wow.
A lot of what you all are talking about is, you might be here and that person might be there. It ebbs and flows. But if it stays out of ebb, if you stay in ebb for too long, that's when it falls apart.
Yeah.
Right. If you never get to that point of where you can flow in that similar space of emotional maturity. And this goes for like dating, marriage too, I imagine. And it's that idea, we always think of equally yoked in terms of things, money, finances, resources. What about being equally yoked in terms of emotional maturity, and emotional intelligence?
Yeah.
I
agree 100%. I agree that it is something that we always have to consider, especially at the start of our friendships. I think the challenge that keeps popping up for me is, but what if I had a situation that made me grow a little bit faster than you, or you had a situation that made me grow a little bit faster than me, and then we're unyoked, right? Like, so how do we then address that? And to Jonai's point, maybe it is that we just check in with our friends and we see, are you struggling today? Are you well today? Like, what can I do for you? And maybe the onus of that is on the person who is at the highest emotional maturity at that moment, right? Because again, it's gonna be these ebbs and flows. And some moments I'm gonna be more emotionally mature, and some moments you're gonna be more emotionally mature. And if you feel that and you're in harmony with your friendship, then the person who's at that highest level at that moment has the onus of checking in and being like, what's up, what's good, B? Like, what can I do for you? Or I'm feeling like we're off right now. And I've had those conversations with each of you guys at different moments. Like, I feel like we're off right now. Like, what's up? Like, how do we get back on track? And
alcohol
is that after I have those conversations, we immediately go back on track. What Nikki say? What she say, D?
That's
alcohol.
Alcohol. That ain't it, Nick. It helps smooth the conversation, but that's not it.
A little bit. I found that I'm a feeler, but it's like open. So maybe okay, wait, what time is it in Vegas? Okay, maybe after like 3 mimosas, I'll tell this person, hey, we're not friends anymore.
The problem is, though, too much alcohol, you're going to be out there in Vegas fighting. Do you have the bail money set aside?
I do. Okay, so, okay.
And who is with you?
Just let us know where to go for the fun.
Listen, first of all, there's a few moves I've wanted to practice. So, okay, she's ready. So I'm okay with that. I was like, oh, I want to do a little foot sweep, maybe some pressure. Like, I've been wanting to do that for a little while, so I'm okay with that, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I have bail money.
We'll take care of all of that. We just need to know the
Jordan's
procedure.
good. Look,
I was gonna say who should call, who should, pick up your baby. I got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate it. This is some grown ass woman stuff right here, right?
It is. I mean, and isn't that the purpose of friendships? Like to be able to process some stuff, because I definitely made a decision pertaining to that friend that I was talking about. In this conversation, I've made a decision. I made a decision that that's not where I want to continue to be.
Yeah.
Right? So we will have another conversation to clarify that, because I did say I needed a little bit of time to determine my direction. So I will go back and have that finalizing conversation. But I think that that's the purpose of friendships, right? And that's being grown as women, right? Like having to figure shit out and be mature about it and be emotionally intellectual about it. But you can't do it all by yourself. You need your homies to process that way, right? You need the different thoughts. What were you gonna say, D?
No, I was saying, y'all know me, I'm coming with all the fire. That's why I have to step back.
Let me look. Can I tell y'all a story about D?
She was about to beat that man up in that game. Remember when we was playing cards that night and you was about to beat that grown man up? Y'all.
Oh, yes, she was. Listen, let me tell y'all a D story.
No, don't pay me like that. I was not gonna beat the man up, but there was a problem there. I was upset.
I have a good.
He was wrong though, D.
When I knew I love D. D, I'll never forget. It was I think it was my birthday, and I was doing a wine trip, and this is how I knew. I was like, oh
yeah, that was a good time.
That was. But listen, so initially it was couples, right? When I was doing
I went as your wife's date.
Yep, and let me tell you how much I appreciated this, and this is how I knew. She's solid. She's really solid, and not just because she is really good girlfriends with LaNail. She's solid. D put me up on the side and was like, I just want to check in because I don't want to carry this. Because it was originally couples, and when it wasn't, that's when I sent the invite out to D. So she's like,
I remember.
I'm not some secondary option is this. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate when that, right? Because she could have carried that and been like, oh, I was an actor. But you know what I mean? Some people will just make little comments, and something as little as that, because people that really know me, you will always be able to hold me accountable to something I did. If I have no issue being like, you know what? Yeah, yep, I did. You know, but the people that don't know me are the ones that won't talk to me because they think it's not an issue or they don't know. And I'm like, oh, I will never be beefing off of accountability. I will respect it more. And so when T did that, I was like, oh my gosh, like warm and fuzzies. that was so dope, because something that, and it was newer in getting to know each other. So she could have easily not done that, right? Could have easily just said, hey, LaNail, do you know what's up with this? And kept it there.
You're right.
Easily not asked me and reached out. So I was like, wow, I really appreciated that. And I was like, oh, that's something to learn from, right?
And that became the basis, one of the foundations, the building blocks of you all's friendship though, right? Because you know that she's going to come to you and ask you questions and get clarity. And she trusts that you're going to now tell her the truth and, you know, be forthcoming with information, and that just builds into the friendship even more. I think we started a little late with our recording, so I want to go ahead and acknowledge the time, but I know that Jay just moved into that beautiful house and coming through. So I want to respect the fact that she has folks that are coming. So Jay, if you want to do any last remarks, and then, you know, the rest of us, we could stay on maybe for just a few more minutes and then head out as well.
I know it's dark over here. My new bedroom, and I don't know how to work the lights yet. So
that's space though.
I know you can see me. I'm like trying to slowly walk around while everybody's talking, so I'm not moving the camera too much. So I'm trying to find a light, trying to find some space. But I just want to say, y'all my bees. In the most endearing way you can call somebody a bee. Otherwise, don't say it. Otherwise, you know, I know people have issues with it, and this can be controversial, and that could be another topic of discussion.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just want to say I love you guys. You know,
love you more.
I really appreciate y'all. I really appreciate being having the space to be my authentic self. I feel like I can say and do and just be whoever I am on whatever day. And they can every day, I could be 7 different people. Monday through Sunday. So
I get it.
Just show up. Just show
what
up.
I'm saying? I appreciate y'all just loving me for whatever I am or whomever I am that day, putting me in my place, calling me out, telling me what's wrong, telling me what's good, telling me what's right, giving me the tea, making me spill the tea. I can hold on to some shit, and that has nothing to do with anybody. That's my own shit. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate this platform, and I cannot wait till we do this again. I hope that we were, a vibe for somebody else.
Yeah.
Y'all, whoever's listening out there, tell us what you think. Tell us what you got to say about whatever we talked about. Come for us, because we're gonna come back though. You know what I'm saying? But we are also in a position to receive whatever it is that you have on your heart and whatever you're going through. And this is it, y'all. We have survived a pandemic, and I know a lot of us have lost people. We are surviving. Thank you. See, that's what I'm talking about. Come for me. We are surviving a pandemic. We are learning. We are growing. I know a lot of us have lost people or know people that have lost people, and shit is real out here. Life is real. Shit's happening every day. And, anyway, I can keep going on and on and on. Anyway, I love you guys.
Hey, I love you. And then I'm going to text you to see if you're coming to the midnight happy hour. Don't forget about the midnight happy hour.
I know. I'm going to see what I can do. Listen, I've been here with Verizon trying to get the cable and internet hooked up. Let me tell y'all, I got sweatpants with this jacket from Meg's Nailed It 2018. You know what I'm saying? I had to put out whatever whatever I had in the closet, you know what I'm saying? And I got on some Crocs. So don't come for me. I threw on some Crocs. Okay, you better know me. All right, love y'all.
Love you too, baby.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll take one for you.
And I'm over here. I'm not even drinking no more. I'm over here drinking my tea and stuff, trying to get my energy up to go to this midnight happy hour. Like what? No. Who don't drink but go to midnight happy hours? I'm just trying to be out in the street.
Right.
Does that mean you're gonna come and get me?
Okay, girl, I can come get you. You need me to come get you?
That's what's up.
I come get
Designated driver.
And Ayana, you should have called Liz and brought Nye down, because then you could have been out here.
I didn't even think about that. I had just planned. I was like, midnight. I have happy hour now. At midnight, I'll be asleep.
I will not
stay awake.
I will not be asleep at midnight.
What do y'all want to talk about next time? Because I know we're about to end in a second, and what kind of ideas do you want to talk about? And then for those that are listening or those that are watching us, put in the chat what you want to talk about next time too, and we could adjust, we could make some moves. But what y'all want to talk about next time?
Work,
okay.
Being a Black woman.
We talk about sex.
Danger right there.
Work or danger? Which one is dangerous? Work or sex? Which one is dangerous?
Work.
Oh yeah, I'd rather talk about sex. Well, no, and let me elaborate when I say sex, like sex in your 20s versus sex in being 40. You know what I mean? Being a grown ass woman. Like that means. So we're not talking about different ways to use like toys and dildo. No. But difference in the relationships, because it kind of builds upon what we were talking about as relationships and intimacy and what it takes to really not be the F, like just the quick bang, 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 but something, what that means or what that looks like.
I just want to know why you leaned your head to the side when you said bang, bang, bang. When you be bang, bang, bang.
Because I like to look back at it. So I was about to. Listen, you already know my stretch game is really good. My stretch game is you can't see the bounce, but
we saw the camera moving there. The way I had to go to the massage therapist today so I could get stretched out, I was like, yo, I can't be this stiff for the rest of the weekend. It's not gonna work out for us.
Listen, I was talking to my lady doctor about something, and I was explaining something that I had, done, and she was, "Oh, you must be flexible," and I was like, "I am." You're welcome. That's all that's like, you're welcome.
Yanni, you said you want to talk about work next time and being a Black woman in America. What else was it that you were
being
saying?
a Black woman at work, not in America.
Being a Black woman at work.
Right. But just kind of the work dynamics and, you know, it's just an interesting topic. I don't have anything specific about it. It just being Black at work.
That's
specific in itself. That's specificity.
You know what's interesting about that is that being a Black, sorry, my incense is burning, and being a Black woman at work doesn't necessarily matter as much in terms of who your colleagues are, because you could be a Black woman in Onyx and still have interesting work dynamics because we're all Black, right?
Right.
And then you could be a Black woman in, you know, whatever school district, and most of your colleagues are white, and then there's another dynamic. Like the dynamic is always centered around you being Black, but you being aware of your Blackness. And the crazy thing is what, as I'm doing some of these DEI trainings, and Yanni does most of them, so I just do a few when she has pictures to take on days. But how white people don't think about the dynamic at all. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother thing. We could talk about that next time. Deana Kennedy, did you have some things that you may want to talk about next time too, my dear?
I'm thinking, I'm sure I'll come up with something. Work is dangerous for me. You know, I'm in a situation.
So that might not be safe to record. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I got you. It might not be safe to. That's why you said danger. Okay.
Next show.
Stranger danger, stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
Okay, and you know what I want to talk about next time too? And we're going to figure all of this out before we record. But I want to talk about toxic environments. Like I hear people constantly saying, that friendship was toxic, or that relationship was toxic, or that work environment was toxic, or such and such was toxic. And I'm like, but is it toxic, or is it a foundation for change, right? Because you're going to always be uncomfortable. You're going to experience discomfort when it's time to change. Or is it toxic, or is it you? Like, could it be that everybody else is healthy and you're the one that's bringing in the toxic energy? Or is it truly toxic? I think I'm going to actually write one of our blogs. You know, Onyx has a new blog section on the website. So I'm thinking I'm going to write about that. But before I write about it, I want to kind of like process it with you guys, because everybody keeps talking about toxic environments, toxic relationships. And I'm like, Slim, you can't, everything ain't toxic. Some of it is.
That might be you.
Right? It might be you, right? You might be the shitball.
You have to check the common denominator.
Right.
You're stinky.
Right. Yeah. And not that you're shitball in general, right? Like maybe just in one particular area of your life. Or a few. I don't, you know what? You know, we'll figure out if that's what we're going to talk about.
I like that one.
Yeah. Is there any other closing things that you guys want to say for the folks that are listening? Hopefully they're listening and they're getting some messages and, you know, they're vibing with us and all the things. But anything y'all want to say as we wrap up? Okay, sounds like everybody about to drink.
Cheers. It's October, which means Oktoberfest. So the October birthdays.
Which also means y'all birthdays. Yes. And the last thing I was just thinking while I was listening is how balanced we are. We have every single energy established here. We have an earth sign, we have an air sign, we have water sign, and 2 fire signs, right?
Oh, wow.
We're a pretty balanced bunch. Yeah, except for them 2 fire signs, but they don't really ignite until somebody really piss them off. So
I could think it's probably
bring the flame to me.
Yeah. All right, so D, I'm gonna text you in a minute because I'm gonna come by and pick you up. And Nick, have fun in Vegas. Yanni, have fun. Don't go back to the family. In fact, go to the Family Dollar.
I'm not going back to the Family Dollar. No, I'm gonna lock my doors. I'm gonna put on some nice music and drink my drink. And
you're not
gonna have to if you gonna lock your door. It's gonna be if you lock them legs.
Right. The doorbell is gonna ring.
Huh?
The doorbell is gonna ring. You're not gonna have to go back.
Right. Right. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sure the text is on its way. The text.
Good. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all grown ass women. I love y'all. And until next time, continue to be grown. I love you.
Yes.
Love you guys.
You guys have fun, Nikki.
Thank you. Look, you have fun too.
Thanks.
Sharing is caring.
Maybe.
Sharing is caring.